Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. Goaltending in the National Hockey League has gone through quite the evolution over its 104-year history. Whether it's the leather-padded stand-up style of the early years, the athletic butterfly style of the recent decades, or the jack-of-all-trades hybrid style more commonly used today, the position may have seen a number of different techniques over the years, but standing in front of the net as your team's last line of defence has always required a certain amount of insanity in a player. Though there are a number of goaltenders that have suited up in hundreds or even thousands of NHL games, it's been a long time since a netminder has played every single contest in a season, to the point where it's now completely unheard of today. Sure, a goalie might play the large majority of his team's fixtures, or make a handful of consecutive starts, but thanks to the introduction of mandatory backup netminders in 1964, and the league adopting an 80-game schedule in 1974, no netminder has played every single game in a season for over half a century. However, one player would write his name into the record books by suiting up in every single game for the better part of a decade. This is the story of Glenn Hall and the NHL's longest goalie streak. Before we begin, this video is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the #1 provider of men's below-the-belt grooming, trusted by over 2 million customers worldwide, thanks to their precision-engineered tools that help you take care of what's down there. Now, you've heard me talk about Manscaped's Perfect Package 3.0 kit over the last few weeks, so you know how the variety of products it provides can help you look good and smell great. But the folks at Manscaped haven't stopped there. Having spent some time working away in their labs, Manscaped have some pretty big news to announce, as they have just released a brand new Signature Scent Refined Cologne. Presented in a beautifully designed glass bottle and scented with their signature formulas, Manscaped's new cologne will be the perfect wingman to keep you fresh for whatever life throws your way. With a calming and inviting citrus burst, followed by a velvet woodsy finish, it will no doubt make a fine addition to your ever-growing collection. It's also hypoallergenic, paraben-free, and 100% vegan, so regardless of your preferences, you know that you are using a product that not only leaves you smelling great, it's safe for both your skin and the environment. So if you want to try out their new cologne for yourself, pick up the Perfect Package 3.0 kit, or help support the channel a little bit further, head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code OddManRush20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com and promo code OddManRush20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Manscaped. Look good, smell good, feel good. But anyway, back to the video. In order to tell this historic tale, allow me to take you back to the autumn of 1951, when Canadian netminder Glenn Hall, who had spent his junior years split between the Humboldt Indians and the Windsor Spitfires, signed his first pro contract with the Detroit Red Wings. Though he had just joined an NHL organisation, Hall would spend the next 4 years of his career predominantly in the minors, and though his first pro season with the Indianapolis Capitals would see him win just 20 of his 68 games, his following 3 seasons with the Western Hockey League's Edmonton Flyers would go a lot smoother, as he posted a 94, 75 and 26 record in 199 regular season games. Hall's consistent performance in the minors would also earn him several stints on the Red Wings roster too, as he took to the ice in 8 NHL games with Detroit between December of 1952 and February of 1955, posting an impressive 6-1-1 record for his efforts. Interestingly though, the Canadian netminder also managed to get his name etched onto the Stanley Cup before he had even made his NHL debut. After being called up from the minors during the 1952 playoffs, Hall would spend his entire tenure with the team on the bench as the Red Wings defeated the Montreal Canadiens and clinched the championship for themselves. That said, the hockey gods must have known that Hall didn't contribute much to his team's success, as his name was incorrectly engraved on the cup as Glyn Hall. It's a good thing this wasn't the only time he'd lift the trophy in his career. I mean, could you imagine how frustrating that would be for him? But anyway, having posted a 38, 18 and 10 record with Edmonton during the 54-55 season, and having won both of his starts in the NHL that year too, Hall would earn a more permanent position on the Red Wings roster for the following 55-56 NHL season, thanks to the departure of longtime Detroit goaltender and league legend Terry Sawchuk. Though he clearly had some pretty big shoes to fill, the 24-year-old was about to one-up his predecessor by embarking on one of the greatest records in league history. As Hall joined the Red Wings for his first full NHL season, the Canadian netminder would waste little time taking the league by storm. Using his unconventional yet highly effective butterfly style, nicknamed the Inverted Y, Hall would go on to play every single game of Detroit's season and post a 30, 24 and 16 record, a 2.10 goals against average, and a .921 save percentage in 70 regular season games. Not only would he cement his position as the Red Wings' new starting netminder, Hall's strong play would also earn him a number of awards, as he booked a trip to the 1956 NHL All-Star Game, was named to the league's second All-Star team, and was awarded the Calder Memorial Trophy given to Rookie of the Year. If Hall's debut season wasn't impressive enough though, the goaltender would go on to play every game of the following 56-57 season and post even better numbers than the year prior, registering a 38, 20 and 12 record, a 2.23 goals against average, and a .926 save percentage in 70 games. Not only that, Hall would also be rewarded with a place on the NHL's first All-Star team, which was the equivalent of being named the league's best goaltender at the time, while having suited up in 140 consecutive games over the last 2 years, producing a 68, 44 and 28 record in the process. Despite earning a reputation as one of the top netminders in the league by the end of his sophomore season, the 25-year-old would soon be on the move. On July 23, 1957, Hall was traded to the Chicago Blackhawks as part of a 6-player deal that also sent Ted Lindsay to the Windy City. Having left the only NHL team he had ever known, and having just been shipped off to what was known as Hockey Siberia at the time, Hall's sizable game streak was certainly under threat, given that he needed to impress a completely new organisation and prove to their coaching staff that he would be the best option between the pipes to give their team a chance to win night in, night out. Thankfully, Hall's consistently strong play would keep him in the crease for far longer than anyone would expect. As the 57-58 NHL season began, Hall would join Chicago's roster and look to lead the recently dead last Blackhawks team to a more prominent position in the standings. Though he would post an under 500 record for the first time during his opening year with the team, Hall's second year on the roster would cement his place in the league's history books. During a game against the New York Rangers on January 28, 1959, Glenn Hall set a new NHL record for the most consecutive games played by a goaltender at 258, surpassing the previous record of 257 set by Ottawa Senators netminder Alec Connell on Christmas Day 1930. So with his 3-1 win against the Blue Shirts, Hall had stood between the pipes in every single game for the last 3.5 seasons, and had broken a record that was almost 2 decades old. Now if you thought this streak would end shortly after, oh boy would you be mistaken. Hall would spend the rest of the 58-59 season, as well as the entirety of the following 59-60 season, in the crease for the Blackhawks, meaning he had suited up in each of Chicago's 210 games since he had joined the team, and had pushed his consecutive game streak up to an incredible 350 games. Though he would surpass the previous record holder by over 100 contests, Hall would be unable to backstop Chicago to a winning season, as he posted an 80, 97 and 33 record during his first 3 seasons with the organisation. That said, the Canadian goaltender would be named to the All-Star game twice, and earned a pair of places on the first All-Star team too, so he continued to be recognised as one of, if not the best goaltender in the entire league. Despite the lack of overall team success over the last few years, Hall was about to lead Chicago to victory. The 60-61 NHL season saw Hall continue to suit up in every single game of Chicago's season and produce his best year with the team so far. With a 29, 24 and 17 record, a 2.51 goals against average, and a .920 save percentage in 70 regular season games, Hall had not only registered his strongest individual numbers in almost half a decade, his streak had reached a whopping 420 consecutive games. This performance would also help Chicago clinch third place in the league standings and secure a berth in the 1961 playoffs. And even though the team had no scorers in the league's top 10 and had gone 9, 18 and 8 on the road that year, Hall and the Blackhawks would send shockwaves around the league by going on quite the Cinderella run. Facing a first-round matchup against the Montreal Canadiens dynasty of the late 50s, whom had won 5 straight championships at the time, the series would end up going in the underdog's favour. After dropping the first game of the series with a 6-2 loss against the Habs, Chicago tied things up in Game 2 before Hall stole the show. The Blackhawks netminder allowed just 6 goals in his next 4 games, and registered a pair of 3-0 shutouts during the final 2 games of the series to book Chicago's place in the Stanley Cup finals, prompting Montreal general manager Frank Selke to seek out the Canadian netminder in order to shake hands with the thief who killed his team. From there, an energised and invigorated Blackhawks team would face the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup finals, and after allowing just 11 goals in 6 games against his former organisation, Hall had led his team to the promised land. Chicago had defied all the odds and clinched their first Stanley Cup championship since 1938. Oh, and they even managed to spell Glenn Hall's name correctly on the cup this time, so he had finally gotten his actual name etched onto the greatest trophy in the sport. However, Hall wasn't done making history just yet. The subsequent 61-62 season would see Hall continue to suit up for Chicago, and though you might have expected him to take a night or two off, given that he'd just led his team all the way to a Stanley Cup championship, the netminder would once again suit up in every single game for the Blackhawks. Though he would be unable to lead the defending champions all the way back to the summit, Hall would register a 31, 26 and 13 record, a 2.64 goals against average, and a .913 save percentage in 70 games, bringing his consecutive game streak to an astonishing 490 games, almost double the previous record holder, which he had surpassed 3 years prior. Unfortunately though, all good things must come to an end. Just 13 games into the 62-63 NHL season, Glenn Hall would forfeit his position between the pipes for the first time in his NHL career. After playing the first 10 minutes against the Boston Bruins on November 7, 1962, Hall was unable to make a routine save and stop an easy shot against due to an apparent injury in his back. Clearly in some discomfort, the Blackhawks decided to pull Hall from the crease and let backup netminder Dennis DeJordy finish the game. Though he would protest with the coaching staff as he didn't want to lose the starting job or let his streak come to an end, Hall's efforts would ultimately be in vain. DeJordy would end up finishing the game against the Bruins before getting the start against the Montreal Canadiens 3 days later, thus bringing Glenn Hall's historic game streak to its unfortunate conclusion. As he sat on the bench and watched his contemporary face the Habs, Hall may have been disappointed to watch his streak come to an end, but what he had achieved during his historic run was simply astonishing. After parts of 8 seasons as a starting netminder in the NHL, Glenn Hall had managed to suit up in 502 consecutive games between October 6, 1955 and November 4, 1962. So Hall had played every single minute for his team for over 7 years straight. What an absolutely incredible achievement. Oh, and he also added 50 straight playoff games to his resume too, just in case there were any doubts as to whether he was the go-to guy in the postseason as well. The most unfortunate part about the streak ending though was the lackluster way in which it was caused. Despite all the facial bruises and the body welts that he had incurred over the years on the job, the back injury that eventually forced Hall to be replaced came about while he was in the locker room. As Hall reached down to fasten his leg pads before the game against Boston, he suddenly felt a twinge in his lower back, rendering him unable to bend properly and causing him some notable discomfort. Once he took to the ice and tried to play through the pain, his movement was severely limited and he was unable to make his usual saves, which ultimately led to him being replaced by Goalie. So after the hundreds of games he had played and the thousands of shots he had faced, Hall's historic consecutive game streak had finally come to an end thanks to a freak pre-game injury. It's always the way it goes, eh? But the craziest factor to consider in all this, though, is that Glenn Hall never wore a goalie mask during the entire streak. Sure, the shots he faced weren't as hard back then, and it was tougher to elevate the puck consistently while using straight wooden sticks, but Hall had played over 500 consecutive games in the NHL without wearing any sort of protection on his face. In fact, Hall wouldn't start wearing a goalie mask until 1968, a whole 6 years after he set this record. Given that Hall produced incredible numbers in the league year in year out, and considering he was somehow able to stay healthy despite the number of shots he faced without using any kind of facial protection, it really is a testament to Hall's consistency, durability and luck that he was able to set the record so high above anyone else. When you consider how the league has evolved in recent decades, and with NHL teams producing the best results by using a tandem of goalies nowadays, I think it's nigh impossible for Hall's record to be broken anytime soon, if ever. I mean, no netminder has played a full 82-game season between the pipes, let alone repeat that milestone for the 6+ seasons that would be required to break the record. Hall may have set his total in the same hockey league, but it sure was a different time, eh folks? Once his historic streak had come to an end, Hall would continue to spend the rest of the 62-63 season, as well as the following 4 years of his career as a member of the Blackhawks, where he continued to suit up in a large majority of the team's games, and posted a 132, 111 and 43 record in 268 regular season games. Not only that, the Canadian netminder would also add a number of awards and accolades too, as he was named to the All-Star Game 4 times, earned a place on the first All-Star team 3 times, and won the Vezina Trophy twice, which was given to the goaltenders of the team, which allowed the fewest goals during the regular season at the time. After posting a 19-5-5 record, a 2.38 goals against average, and a .920 save percentage in 32 games during the 66-67 NHL season, the 35-year-old Hall would be left unprotected by Chicago during the 1967 expansion draft, where he was promptly selected by the St. Louis Blues. Though the decision to leave him unprotected was a tough choice for management and a bitter loss for the roster, Chicago knew that it was the right choice to make in the long run, especially considering they could only protect one netminder during the draft, and Hall wasn't exactly in his prime anymore. After moving on from the team he had spent the last decade of his career with, Hall would seriously contemplate retirement, but when the Blues offered him a significant raise on his yearly salary than with Chicago, the Canadian goaltender figured that he could give Missouri a try. Having joined the Blues for their debut season in the NHL, the aging Hall must have really enjoyed his new opportunity a lot more than he initially expected, as he would go on to spend the next 4 years of his career solely with St. Louis. He would contemplate retirement again after his second year on the roster, but you know what they say, you can take the player out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the player. Though the Blues would struggle to compete against the league's already established Original Six franchises, Hall would still put up pretty respectable numbers as St. Louis's first starting netminder, posting a 58, 52 and 28 record in 139 regular season games. Not only that, he also booked a pair of trips to the All-Star Game, while also earning a first All-Star team nod and his third Vezina Trophy in 1969. If that wasn't impressive enough for you though, Hall would also help the Blues make 3 consecutive trips to the Stanley Cup finals as the best expansion team each year, and he even won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP during the 1968 finals. This feat made Hall just the second player to receive the Conn Smythe despite playing for the losing team, as St. Louis was swept in the series by the Montreal Canadiens. Once the 70-71 NHL season had come to an end, and having posted a 13, 11 and 8 record, a 2.42 goals against average and a .917 save percentage in 31 games, Hall, now 40 years old, decided that it was time to call it a day for good this time, as he officially retired from playing the sport of hockey. This meant that after 18 seasons in the NHL, Glenn Hall hanged up his skates, having registered a 407, 326 and 162 record, a 2.49 career goals against average, and a .917 career save percentage in 906 regular season games, along with a 49 and 65 record in 115 playoff games. On top of these outstanding numbers, Hall was also named Rookie of the Year in 1956, made 13 trips to the All-Star Game, earned 7 first-team and 4 second-team All-Star berths, while also winning the Vezina Trophy 3 times, the Conn Smythe once, and had his name engraved on the Stanley Cup twice, once spelt correctly and once not. Oh, and he also managed to play 502 consecutive NHL games, which really is the icing on the cake if you ask me. Following the conclusion of his career, Glenn Hall would continue to serve the game of hockey by taking up a variety of coaching roles, while his playing career was further immortalised into the history books. The retired netminder would be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1975, win another Stanley Cup in 1989, this time as a goaltending coach for the Calgary Flames, and was named to the NHL's 100 Greatest Players list back in 2017. So not only did he set a league record that might never be broken, Glenn Hall would also embark on an 18-year NHL career, win a boatload of awards along the way, and carve out a legacy as one of the greatest players the league has ever seen. They really don't make them like Hall anymore, do they, folks? And that was the story of Glenn Hall and the NHL's longest goalie streak. What do you guys think about Glenn Hall's historic record or his illustrious NHL career as a whole? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Jordan Whitehead, Tom from Finland, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.